Italy's discipline costs them against a poor Ireland and Rome. My name's Mark, let's talk rugby. I don't think either side will look back at the performances today and be happy. Both teams with a lot to improve on, honestly. And actually both teams having fairly similar ends to the tournament. They saved their worst for last. The last couple of rounds from them. So, first of all, it actually started well for the two. Very competitive start. Both teams looking to establish themselves early on, both aggressive in defence and looking to find gaps as well in attack. Then we have James Gibson-Park throws a loose pass after, Italy almost drive Ireland off the ball to Rook. He basically threw it straight to Fischetti, who actually puts in a really nice kick in behind. Henshaw then wins the race to the ball to ground over the try line with Capuozzo closing him down. And that was a bit of a warning really for Ireland, because a minute later then Brex and Menicello combine well and Hansen comes shooting out of the line. Italy get in behind the first line defence. Garbisi, he gets a bit of space out wide just on the edge of the 22, then puts in a lovely grubber in behind the rest of the Irish defence, and Ioane collects that to score, converted by Allen for 7-0 Italy lead. Menicello and Brex added again. Italy attack off a scrum and they're causing problems really for that Irish defence. It's a little bit all at sea, but then poor handling from Italy. Otherwise I think they might have been in again. Italy then lose Dino Lamb to injury. He's replaced by Nicolo Canone. Ireland have a penalty. When we restart, they go to the corner. Byrne claims it. They set up the maul, halted a few meters short. Gibson-Park then snipes off the back. He stopped a metre short. Italy are offside. Ireland playing on, and Beelum gets over with a bit of help from Conan. We have a TMO check, and it's very clear that there's a double movement in there. So the tries rule out, and back we come for a penalty. And Ireland then tap that, and the forwards batter away at the line. Italy doing really well to keep them out, but we then have a scrum for Ireland because there was a knock on in the tackle, and this one is in the shadow of the post. And I think from Ireland, it really was a bit of white line fever there. And that's one thing I've talked about with Gibson-Park as well before is that kind of leadership on the field from him, whether it's in case, pulling in forwards when, the opposition are driving us off our own ball at the ruck or wherever, or just demanding that ball when we have, space out wide. It's not happening. Sometimes the call can come from 10 as well, but, you expect from the 9 to take a bit of leadership there as well. Not really seen that from him. But from the scrum, Keenan comes on the late line, and then Crowley puts him over to score, converted by Crowley for 7 points all. Italy then lose Negri to injury, and around the same time as well, they lost Lorenzo Canone. So Lamero and Ross Vincent have to come on, and Italy's just been really physical in the first half so far, but it is taking a toll, with the amount of players they're losing to injury. Then Pagerello breaks off scrum, and again, some better handling from them, and they probably retake the lead. And that was one of two things that was really poor from Italy today, really. But definitely been the better team to this point. Ringrose then gives away a silly penalty for offside. It wasn't from a kick or anything. Basically, Ireland can be at the ruck and the ball actually squirts out, so there's a chance for a turnover. But he comes from an offside position. He's behind the Italy attacking line, never onside, and just stupid from him. He should just got himself onside again and maybe gone for the ball, but he didn't. So from there, then Allen strokes it over from out wide, and Italy retake the lead 10 points to 7. Ireland then begin to show a bit more. Good involvement from Crowley, but then Byrne and Doris getting each other's way, offside penalty. Ireland then with a ruck just outside to 22 as we approach half time. We have a TMO check because Lamoureux has actually slapped the ball out of Gibson Park's hands. He goes to the bin. Really stupid penalty to give away because his team were on top and like the defence was actually doing pretty well. And Ireland's attack doesn't have that sharpness, for them to be that dangerous on the edge of the 22. He should have just trusted in his teammates, that they would actually defend, because there's about a minute or so to go to the half. Ireland kick the penalty to the corner, secure it in the maul. Backs come in to help and they drive over Sheehan to score at the back. And Crowley then gets conversion attempt all wrong. Like it just goes like flying to the left of the post and nowhere near it. 12 points to 10. Ireland lead at half time. Into second half then, silly penalty from captain seems to be catching because Doris gives one away for obstruction from a kick, and that allows Italy to kick into the Ireland 22. They move it, but then there's a forward pass from them. And again, it feels like if Italy's passing and handling clicks, then Ireland are going to be in real trouble in this game. Crowley then puts Hansen through a gap. He storms into 22, finds Ringrose on his inside, but Italy scramble really well to snuff out the danger, because if there had been a split second later, Ringrose would have been through a gap and maybe over to score. Italy then lose Pagerello, and he seemed to maybe pull something, like trying to get back in that scramble to help out. And yeah, it looked like maybe pulled his hamstring or something. Ireland then turn Italy over at a ruck 5 metres out. Then they spread it wide. James Ryan goes to the line and we have a TMO check. It's not a try, back for a penalty. Ireland then kick to the corner, and then Tadhg Furlong finally makes his long-awaited return. Every week they've been saying, "Oh, Furlong might be involved this week," and then we find out no, he's not. But finally back on after that injury. It's kind of mixed for me, honestly, because first of all, Bealham has done really well through the tournament, and it's nice to have Furlong back involved. I think they did have to have him back involved, but it would have been nice as well. I think other than what happened with France, maybe Clarkson would have been involved in this one. I'm not sure, because Ireland's selection sometimes, players like him coming through, they don't give them enough opportunities, I think. But I think in the circumstance, probably the right call to have Furlong back in there, just to get him involved again, because you don't know, it might be November again before Furlong gets a chance, to appear in Ireland again. So maybe they didn't want to leave it that long. But Ireland do secure the line out, set up the maul, again help from the backs, and they drive over Sheehan to score again. And they were talking in commentary about how Ireland's maul had been one of the positives for them today. For me, I didn't actually think so, because each time that they did actually drive over, they had to get 2 or 3 backs in there to help them to get over. They weren't really generating momentum from the initial setup of the maul. And for me, that's a worry, because I said it as well in kind of chatting with someone over Twitter about it, but Sheehan, his ability at the back of that maul makes that Irish maul look a hell of a lot better than it is. And we've seen it for Leinster as well. The maul, whatever it is, body positions, or just their ability to shift, the point of contact and kind of roll off, just isn't there for them. And they get stopped too many times. And then when they try and by the time they finally decide they're going to move the ball, everything is static then in the backs as well, because the attack just isn't there. So lucky, I think, to get over for two of those tries with some backs coming in to help them. Crowley again misses the conversion and is 17 points to 10. We then have a Timo check at the restart for a head-on-head tackle from Ross Vincent. He gets a yellow and it goes to the bunker for review, but you could tell I think Luke Pearce, right, was the referee. He called the card straight away, like didn't even need the replays on it, and you could also tell from the first replay that was definitely going to be upgraded to a red, and we find out later that it was. Lamro then actually comes back on pretty much at the same time, so he's off in the bin, then Lamro comes back on before we restart. Then we have a poor clearance from Allen that gives Ireland a good position, and then Peter O'Mahony comes on for his final appearance in green, gets a great reception from the crowd, as does Conor Murray, who came on a bit later as well. Brilliant servants for Ireland. Ireland then, they work it close to the post after some great carries from Hansen, and forwards in there as well, but Hansen gave them the real momentum. They've got men over. Crowley then sells a dummy and sends Keenan over, but then we have a Timo check because there was a knock on by Doris a few phases before, so it's no try. And then we do hear that Vincent's card got upgraded at that point to 20-minute red card, so he won't be back on, but Italy will be able to replace him after the 20 minutes are up. Ireland then move off a line out into 22. James Gibson Park kicks for Hansen on the wing, and he kind of catches it, and then in one kind of motion, then passes it back inside for Sheehan before he actually goes into touch himself, and over Sheehan goes for his hat-trick. Crowley misses another conversion, and the ones he missed were pretty kickable, so not good off the tee from him, but I felt his general play made up for it. 22 points to 10 for Ireland at that stage. Italy then, they strike off a scrum, spin it wide to Capozzo. He's in space, chips cleverly. It's one of these ones where it's bouncing over the try line, and the bounce beats him, but also beats Mac Hansen, who was coming back to cover for Ireland. And then Barney is able to get there to ground it. That's converted for 22 points to 17, and it really is game on at this stage. We then have Ireland. They're looking to get another score to give themselves a bit of breathing space, but aggressive defence from Italy forces a knock on, and Italy then back up to 15 for the final 12 minutes of the game. Lucchese then has to switch to the back row because they've had so many injuries, so they've got two hookers on the field. Then an Ireland try gets chalked off. James Lowe flagged for being in touch. He flirted with the touchline. It was close. We didn't see too many replays of it, but on looking at the replays, it looked like his foot probably didn't go into touch. But you have to say it probably was right to chalk it off anyway, because Italy did stop playing. The referee blew his whistle before Lowe passed it back inside, and Ireland actually grounded it. So I don't think it would be fair. Even though looking at it, you think, well, it wasn't fair that Lowe got flagged for being in touch, but not fair that Italy concede a try. Because they all stopped playing because the referee blew his whistle. So, maybe James Lowe won't be too happy with it, but I think it was the right decision to chalk that off. But again, maybe not, to actually flag him out. But what can you do? People are human. It looked so close. We had to have a replay to show and you probably would, if it was reviewed, you probably would have zoomed in to see if he's touched a blade of white grass and that kind of thing. Italy then come forward. They get Marion free on the right. He zigzags through a few tackles, and he's just an ankle tap away from breaking away into that 22 and getting over to score what could have been the winning try for Italy. Lowe then claims a loose pass, and Ireland are able to clear. Capozzo then almost breaks from his own half on the left, but Aki gets a tap in there, and then his offload goes into touch. We then have a final Timo check for a clear out by Nicotera on Peter O'Mahony. It's shoulder to head. He gets a yellow. It goes to the bunker for review. I haven't heard this, what happened with the review now, because I'm not watching the post-match stuff because I'm recording this, but I would imagine that's going to be upgraded to a red. Prendergast then taps the penalty, kicks it off. Ireland so happy just to end the game at that point. Full time, 22 points to 17. So no even thought in their head about, maybe if things go a certain way in the other games, we could end up with, having to have a decent or a better points difference again over England to win the championship. No thought about that. They're just like, we're so lucky that we're winning this game. Get that ball off the pitch. Okay, so let's have a look at the stats and then we'll talk about each of the teams. So let me pull them up here. So first of all, possession, 45% for Italy, 55% for Ireland. But I think Italy did better with their possession than Ireland. Then territory, 42% for Italy and 58% for Ireland. And, Ireland, they just look so pedestrian at times. It wasn't, I'm going to compare them to Wales early in the tournament in terms of attack. It wasn't that bad. But if you look at the level that Ireland have been in, in previous years, it almost feels like it's that bad. I do know why. It's because they changed their attack coach and it's not really working out for them now. Whether that's to change the system and maybe it's going to get better, I'm not sure. I honestly don't think so, because they had the same attack coach at Leinster and they had very similar issues as well. So for me, I'd love to see a new attack coach in there, somebody else get a try at it, but we'll have to see what happens with that. But then let's talk about the rest. And luckily enough, we're going to start with attack. So attacking minutes, 17.2 for Italy and 14.8 for Ireland. And then try scored 2 for Italy, 4 for Ireland. But Italy could have had a lot more if their handling had been better. Carries 95 to 121. And then, meters carried. So look at that. Like Italy with, 26 carries less than Ireland, but the meters carried was 595 to 559. So you can tell straight away Italy were carrying more meters per carry. And then meters gained 305 to 312. So Ireland just about shading that, but with, was it 20% more carries than Italy? So, that's not a good look. Line break sends 6 for Italy, 4 for Ireland. Defenders beaten 28 to 23. Total passes 137 to 188. So, Italy again shading it on attack compared to Ireland. Offloads 3 to 1. Like Italy, again, the team that we're looking to keep the ball alive more. Handling errors then 19 for Italy, 23 for Ireland. So neither team, good in that aspect. And then turnovers conceded 11 for Italy and 20 for Ireland. Just not good enough, on that for Ireland. Then kicks and play, 28 for Italy, 18 for Ireland. So a lot less for Ireland. Normally we see them kind of in the mid-20s, round about that kind of 24 to 28 kind of thing. So 18 is a hell of a lot less. And I would have expected them to, given that Italy were rushing up so much in defence as well, we didn't see as many kind of little kicks over the top from them. We're seeing those from Italy, but not from Ireland. Then meters kicked 714 for Italy, 537 for Ireland. So 537, that's around about where Scotland have been this year in terms of their kick meters. And we've seen Scotland have fundamentally changed the way their kicking game works. Like last year we talked about it, they were pretty much double. They were around about 1,000 meters, kind of around that high 900s per game. And then this year they've been down in the 500-600s. Ireland, that again today, and it really didn't work out for them. But again, there's a lot of things that Ireland have to fix. And I want to see, they don't have it, but I wanted to see the split. At the moment, we don't have the split between long kicks and short kicks, but I would imagine that Italy were the ones putting in more short kicks, even as a percentage, of the kicks than Ireland did, because a lot of Ireland's kicks were kind of long kicks from Lowe or Keenan. There were some box kicks as well from Gibson Park, but not that many kind of grubbers in behind or chips in behind, that kind of stuff that we have seen. That's kind of again helped them in terms of their kind of stuttering attack. Then on defense, tackles made 167 to 139, tackles missed 23 to 28. So that means Italy had 88%. That's a decent performance defensively from them. 83% for Ireland is where we kind of expect them to be. Ireland are never kind of up there, or very rarely at least up there in the high 80s, kind of low or high 70s, low 80s is where we expect Ireland to be. So kind of around the same. And again, they rely on that scramble. But if you get a team that can beat your scramble, the likes of France, the way they did it last week, it doesn't matter how good your scramble is. If you're missing, tackles and they can get in behind it and you cannot catch them, then it's not going to end well, and we saw that. Penalties conceded then, 10 for Italy, just 4 for Ireland. So Ireland's discipline, in the last couple of games, even though like the problem against France was yellow cards, it wasn't penalties, because I think they only conceded about 6 penalties, maybe only 4 penalties in this one. So that side of thing is okay, but then you look at it and you think Ringrose gave away a stupid penalty where that could have been avoided, and so did Doris as well. So it's for me, it's not about the amount of penalties they give away; it's just the timing and just the avoidability of the penalty as well. Free kicks conceded then, none for Italy, 1 for Ireland. That was in the first scrum where Ireland pushed too early on it, and then offensive penalties 3-1 and defensive 7-3. So Italy certainly under more pressure. And then in terms of the cards, we had 2 yellow cards for Italy, 1 red, and then no cards for Ireland. But one of those reds was upgraded yellow, and I think again haven't heard yet, but maybe the other one will be upgraded as well. So Rooks won then 75 to 94, and Rooks lost 3-1. And then this is telling as well in terms of Ireland's attack. And I think also again, it's for me, it's that leadership from 9 in terms of getting quick ball. So Rooks 0 to 3 seconds, 35% for Italy. That's good. It's not brilliant, but it's good. Ireland 28% is poor, honestly, for the game that they try to play, especially when they're trying to, they have changed their attack, not just their attack coach, but to change the style of attack, where they're trying to strike off, first, second, third, fourth phase, not go multi-phase the way they were in the last 2 years, which means that quick ball is even more important, because you want to get that misaligned defense as soon as possible from the Rooks. You want to see those mismatches happening early, but if your ball is slow, it's not going to happen. Rooks 4 to 6 seconds, then 40% to 51, and then slow ball, so over 6 seconds, 25% for Italy and 20 for Ireland. So Ireland pretty much in that middle part, where generally what you're going to see is, if your Rook is 4 to 6 seconds, the opposite defense is going to be set at that stage, but you might catch them out because maybe somebody has, maybe numbered up on the wrong side of the Rook somewhere or other. So there might be opportunities there, but certainly not as many opportunities if you have that quick ball, from 0 to 3 seconds. Okay, next then, set piece. So scrums won, 8 for Italy, 3 for Ireland. Ireland thought they might have, something in the scrum, but it didn't really happen for them. They didn't put on any pressure on Italy, even when Brex was packing down in the scrum. And you wonder what that is. Is it because McCarthy wasn't in there, given kind of heft in the second row? Or is Porter kind of afraid of giving away penalties if he's too aggressive? But basically the scrum was a non-event in terms of which, to some extent is kind of good, right? Because it means ball in, ball out, and on we go with the play. So from the point of view of the game, probably a decent thing. From the point of view of Ireland, where they might have thought they might have had an edge, not so good. Lineouts then, 15-1 each. One lineout loss for Italy and one steal for Ireland. I think it might have been James Ryan that stole that. I can't be absolutely sure, but I think it might have been him. And then kicks at goal. So one successful penalty kick for Italy. Ireland didn't take any. And then conversions, 2 successful conversions for Italy, 1 for Ireland, and then 3 missed conversions as well, which kind of led to it being so close in the end. But again, I'm not going to put huge amount of blame on Crowley for that, because at the same time, I didn't put too much blame on Prendergast when he was getting slated as well. So have to be fair to both 10s. I think, for me, in terms of 10 for Ireland, these 2 guys should be rotating in the team. Kind of similar to the way that the box do it with 9 and 10. We should get to that position. We need more competition at 9, but where we're rotating 9s and 10s through, and we don't really have like a starter. We have 2 or 3, at least 2 options that can start a game or come off the bench, and be happy with whatever position they're in from that as well, in terms of if you've got 23 on your back or 10 or whatever. So a lot of work to do if to get to that point. And I'm not even sure if the coaches want. They don't seem to, from selection in this competition, they seem to want to have a first choice, and then the second choice is clearly back up. Right, so on to then the team. So Italy started the game so well. Poor handling and discipline cost them dearly though in this. Defense much better. Again, it's kind of defense versus attack though, right? So credit has to go to Italy though on the defensive part. It wasn't all about Ireland being poor in attack. And then that centre partnership of Brex and Menoncello, absolutely brilliant. Pagerello coming back in as well after being dropped for the England game. I thought he had a good game too. Capuozzo was dangerous. Ioane, he took his score well, but we didn't see that much from him through the game. Then, they had to cope with a lot of injuries in the pack. And then overall, though, much improved performance from them. But, the thing is, they could still end up with the wooden spoon after this as well. If Wales beat England, then they're going to be wooden spoon. But and they've had a kind of a ups and downs certainly. But I think the losing bonus point here will at least give them a cushion if England win that game. They should, unless Wales get 2 losing bonus points, they should avoid the wooden spoon, and I don't think they deserve it, honestly. But definitely a mixed tournament from them. On to Ireland then. Produced another poor performance. Attack just doesn't look right. Clunky, relying too much on individual contributions as well from the likes of Hansen and Lowe. And it's never good. It kind of reminds me of Australia, where Australia had that kind of barren period where there was a lot of talk about X Factor players, and X Factor players are great, but for a long run and in terms of consistency in attack and being dangerous, it's your attacking structure and systems that are gonna get you there. It's not individuals. Like individuals kind of can help you perform the way Ireland they did for Ireland today and get a win, but they're not going to do that against significantly better opposition. So definitely have to look at that attack and sort it out. And if that means we've got to replace, is the guy's name Goodman, I think. If we've got to make a change though in attacking coach, now is the time to do it. Give ourselves a year, over the summer, or at least sometime this year. Hopefully they'll give ourselves a summer into November, and then be ready for next year's Six Nations, when it's probably starting to bed in properly, and then have another year then to the World Cup where we can really get to grips with it. So if they are going to do that, please do it now. Had to rely on their usual excellent scramble defence as well to get them out of jail a few times here. And then I just want to say, thank you to Conor Murray, Peter Manny and Cian Healy for their contribution to Ireland down through the year. 3 legends of the game over here. But at the same time, it's good now that they have stepped away. And we now have to find players to fill the void that they're going to leave behind. We need to get, more young players coming in and getting exposed. The clock really is ticking for the next World Cup. To get players up. You think like somebody starting now, right? Who comes in and is maybe in and out of the team until they establish themselves, might be going into the next World Cup with somewhere in the teens in terms of caps, or maybe even like the low 20s, if they're playing all the games between now and then. But there isn't that much time really to get people in when you think about it properly. But as I said, Ireland definitely need to seriously look at their systems, because there's too many of them malfunctioning, and too often as well. And also selection policy. I've said before, not enough competition for places. And part of that obviously is, if you look at, say, let's say Andrew Porter at loosehead, we don't have the stocks of looseheads to really put pressure on him for his place. But in other positions, we lauded for the last few years the systems that we have, and the fact that we're bringing through all these great players, young players, and bringing them through, etc. But when it comes to selection, there's basically there are 15 guys who, if they're fit, they're the starting team, and it's very rarely have there been too many changes from that, right? We might see there's a bit of competition at 10, but look at all the other places. Or all the other positions. There's one guy who is obviously the starter in that position, and then everyone else is just a backup. And I don't think that's healthy. I do think that, having consistency, we don't want to be kind of, Gatland's Wales from his recent stint, or Borthwick's England, in terms of the number of players that they churn through and never getting a proper centre partnership, or, half-back partnership, or back row, or wherever it is, right? We don't want to be at that level. But at the same time, you don't want a stale team. And I think that's what Ireland have now, is they've got a stale team. You need just even an extra kind of, 2 or 3 players who are coming in, and maybe one in the back row. You have, one new back, maybe coming in, and a bit more competition at 9 maybe as well on top of that, and maybe some younger players coming into the front row from there. If you could do that, then suddenly those young players come in, they lift the whole team, and then players know as well, you have to perform to keep your spot. You can't just put in the performance that many of them did against France and expect to turn up next time and still have your starting spot. So we'll have to see how that goes on. I'm not confident, because we've seen it too many times with, after World Cup, etc., where there doesn't seem to be that willingness to bring too many players through all at the same time. They seem to it's very hard for players to get in, and then once they're in, it's very hard then to dislodge them seems to be the way it is. Again, I'm not talking about wholesale changes. I'm just talking about get a few more players into the group that are honestly, a proper, genuine option to actually start games, not just there to hold tackle bags in training or to be on the bench. But another thing for Ireland as well is they get worse as the tournament went on, and for me that's definitely a bad sign. We've seen Ireland previously have poor starts in the Six Nations and maybe scrape a win in the first round, and then build through the tournament and get better as it goes on, where we have that cohesion coming together from them, players getting used to the Ireland systems again, and then, whether they've won the title or not, looking a better team by the end of the Six Nations than they did at the start. I don't think anybody hand on heart could say that that's true for this year. So again, that's a worrying sign, but that's the end of this one. So let me know what you think down in the comments.